Hello everyone, I hope you guys are all having a fabulous day. Let's talk handbags I've sold and why. The last time I did a video like this was probably about 2 years ago, and that's really when I ended up selling the bulk of the items that I had in my collection. But since then, I have added a few more to that list. I will make sure and put that video, if you guys are interested, in the description box below. But I hope that you enjoy it. If you do, make sure and give it a thumbs up. And without further ado, let's get started, shall we? The Saleen Phantom in the medium size, and this was in the black supple calfskin, and it was kind of like the So Black edition because the hardware was black as well. But this bag was absolutely gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous. And I was so happy when I added it to my collection. I actually picked it up when we were in Italy. And the funny thing is that normally I'm the type of person that likes to do research on any bag, on any small leather good, before I add it to my collection. I want to read every thread, I want to watch every video, just so I have an idea as to what to expect, from that item. And when it came to the Saleen Phantom, I hadn't really done any research on it. I've heard, things here and there about Saleen, but I didn't really know enough about, about the brand going into it. But when I walked into that boutique, it was like I went straight for it. And I didn't care about research. I didn't care about posts. All I knew is that I wanted to get that bag. You know what I mean? I was just like, I don't care. I just want this bag. I don't know about you guys, but like I said, normally I try to do as much research as possible, but sometimes you get those items that just capture you and it doesn't matter, and you'll find out how they wear soon enough type of thing. But anyways, so once I started to use the bag, even though I loved the fact that it was like the So Black and it had beautiful, beautiful leather, because that's one thing that I've always said about Saleen is that they have incredible leather, the craftsmanship of their pieces, and it's also very, very durable. But I started to notice that this bag was just a little too overwhelming, and it would get crazy heavy. I remember I did a post on Instagram. It was probably, I don't know, a year ago or 2 years ago. And I wanted to weigh the bag and show you guys just how much this bag weighs with my items inside. So initially I knew that the bag was going to be heavy because you have that beautiful calfskin leather and then you have suede interior. So it already makes for a heavy handbag. But once you start to add your small leather goods inside, it feels like you're carrying around a brick. And I remember when I had my items inside, I think it weighed in at like 7 pounds or 8 pounds. I don't know about you, but 8 pounds to be lugging around, that's a lot. Especially since it's not a shoulder bag and it doesn't have a strap that you can use at crossbody. So you're pretty much stuck to carrying it, in your hand or on the crook of your arm. And as the hours would go by, you would just feel that weight. And sometimes I would even see the rings that the handles would leave on my arm just from carrying it, And sometimes I'd try to carry a little bit less, but it really didn't matter. So it was very, very heavy. Not only that, the wings that it has, how like it opens up. I know some people end up tucking in the sides, but I really liked the way that it looked when it was all opened up. But those can make someone a little bit clumsier like myself. I'm already clumsy as it is, but when I had those things kind of, out, I would end up bumping into things at any shop. And it was, it was like, oh, sorry, I bumped this or I bumped that. So I know, like I said, I could have put the wings in, but I didn't want to. I really liked the way that it looked. But this bag, I think it was like 18 or 19 inches from one side to another. And it was just like, it was a massive bag. I think it is gorgeous. It just sadly was a little too much than I wanted to carry, on the daily or anything after 4 or 5 hours. I was just like, I'm done. I need to carry another bag because this baby, it's not really working out. The Saleen Mini Luggage Tote in the drum leather and in the color Souris. Now this color, it's really hard to capture because it's kind of in between like a grayish brown and like a grayish khaki, and it has white contrast stitching that really ends up standing out, but it is a beautiful color. And I was really excited about adding it to my collection because it was a different type of neutral for me, considering I would always end up going for black bags, but this one really ended up standing out. Now, since I already had the Phantom and I kind of knew what to expect, it was going to be heavy, I figured that if I go from a Phantom Phantom into a mini, then it won't be as heavy. It won't be as overwhelming. And that definitely wasn't the case. It was still a very heavy handbag because you still have that beautiful suede interior, and then the pebbled leather, when you start to add your items, it doesn't necessarily weigh 7 to 8 pounds. It was more like 6 to 7 pounds. So it wasn't a huge difference between the Phantom. And I really wanted to make this one work. And even though I knew it's something that I couldn't, carry on my shoulder, or I couldn't use it crossbody, I was just like, no, I'll make it work. I'll make it work. It's not going to be as heavy. It's not going to be as heavy. And it just started to get to the point when, after so many hours, I would feel that weight, and I just decided to just leave the bag on my shelf. And I'm the type of person that if something goes unused on my shelf for 6 to 9 months, I'd much rather end up selling that item and put the funds towards something else that I might end up using a little bit more often. The Chanel GST, or the Grand Shopping Tote, and the Beige Claire caviar leather and the silver hardware. I love this bag, and just like with Saleen, I wanted to venture out of my comfort zone and go for a neutral. I already have the GST and the black caviar with the gold hardware. I love that bag. It works out for my lifestyle perfectly, so I figured if I go for a lighter color, maybe I can incorporate it with different outfits, and I could go for lighter colored clothing and things like that, and that wasn't the case. I am very much a creature of habit. I love wearing dark colored clothing. I have a lot of black in my wardrobe, and I wear a lot of denim. And when it comes to the Beige Claire, because it is so light, it is a little bit more prone to getting color transfer. And like I said, since I wear a lot of black, I much rather end up switching my bag than switching my outfit. That's just the type of person that I am. So I very rarely used it, and whenever I would use it, I would try my hardest to wear really light colors, to wear like white t-shirts, or gray pants, or something to where I didn't have to worry that the leather was going to rub on it or anything like that. And I was crazy about this combination too, because it was completely different from other Beige Claires. This one actually had the gray satin interior, so then when you combine that with the cooler tone that this Beige Claire had and the silver hardware, I just really liked the way that it looked all together. But unfortunately, it just didn't end up working out for me in my lifestyle. I just found it to be a little too fussy, and I would much rather end up switching out my handbag than switching out my wardrobe. The Saint Laurent monogram clutch in the black pebbled leather and the gold hardware. I've said it before that when it comes to Saint Laurent's pebbled leather, it is by far one of the most, if not the most durable textured leather there is out there. I think it is absolutely fantastic. Now, the only reason why I ended up getting rid of this clutch is because I noticed that whenever I go to use a clutch, I would end up going more towards my Chanel wallet on chain than I would with this one. I still think it's great, and it actually fits a lot more than people might think. And I really like the fact that it's very, very simple. It doesn't have too many bells and whistles, and you still have that beautiful textured leather that you don't have to worry about. So I know that in the future I will be adding another Saint Laurent piece to my collection, and I will most definitely go for the pebbled leather. It's just a matter of which bag I want to go for, but they have so many to choose from, but unfortunately this one just wasn't one that I was reaching for too often. The Louis Vuitton Artsy MM in the monogram canvas. This bag, I wanted it for the longest time. And in my opinion, it is one of the best looking bags that they have in their lineup. And I was so excited when I added it to my collection. I was like, yes, it's going to be a forever bag. It's going to be a favorite bag. I'm going to use it all the time. And I was super bummed out to find out that wasn't the case for me. It didn't end up working out for my lifestyle. And kind of like with Saleen, I felt that this bag ended up getting a little too heavy as time went on. It was very comfortable in the beginning, but as I'd start to put my items inside, or as hours kind of went by, I'd really start to feel the weight of it on my shoulder. And I initially thought that maybe because it has a thicker shoulder strap, it wouldn't be too big of an issue, but that wasn't necessarily the case. I felt that, I don't know, it just felt like it would just constantly end up just digging into my shoulder. So it made it very uncomfortable. Another thing that I wasn't too, I didn't think I'd have too big of an issue with it, but it does have a north-south design, so it's a little bit taller than most bags. And I found that whenever I put it on my shoulder, it would actually end up hitting right underneath my arm, and therefore making it even more uncomfortable there as well. So if I was to use like a jacket, or if I even was to use like a cardigan, something a little bit thinner, it wouldn't be the most comfortable bag to wear on my shoulder, and it would just end up rubbing up on this part a little too much, especially in the summertime whenever I'd go to use like tank tops or spaghetti straps or anything like that. it would just end up rubbing up here a little too much. And I thought that maybe as time went on, the more and more that I used it, that maybe it'd get a little bit more relaxed. And sometimes it'd get relaxed, but still I felt that it ended up just kind of like going right back up here, and I'd end up just carrying it in the crook of my arm or as a hand carry bag. And whenever I put it on the crook of my arm, I'd be able to see the handle just from carrying it that way. So that was kind of a bummer. And you know, I've always appreciated, I like hobos. I think that they're great, but I think at the end of the day, they don't really work out for me because I tend to prefer structured handbags. And this one just kind of turned into a beautiful mess whenever I'd go to set it down. If I set it down, it just kind of leaned over just because the handle was a lot thicker. It weighed a little bit more than the canvas did, so it just kind of flop over. And that's not necessarily something that I wanted to see. So I always say that it turned into a beautiful mess. And I know a lot of people love hobos. And I used to at one point, but I think I'm more of the type of person that tends to go for a really structured handbag. Who knows, that might end up changing over time, but yeah, I just decided to part ways with it. But I will still appreciate this bag always, and anytime anyone asks me about it, do I think it's beautiful? Do I think this? And I say, absolutely. You know, it just didn't work out for me because of X, Y, and Z, but everyone is different. So the Louis Vuitton Artsy MM is just, oh man, oh, that bag. I think out of all of the bags that I talked about today, that's the one that I was like, I am determined. I wanted this to work out, but you know, but it didn't. But that does it for my for the bags that I sold and why. And you know, I've said it before that even though we try to do as much research as possible, and even though you want to read every post, and even though you want to see every video on any bag that you want to add to your collection, sometimes it's a great idea, but when push comes to shove, it all depends on your personal lifestyle, because something might end up working out for you today, and then maybe in a year's time, you won't end up liking it, or you won't gravitate towards it because of one reason or another. You know, so I feel like our tastes are always evolving and our tastes are always changing. But if anything, I don't regret having any of these bags in my collection. To me, it kind of solidifies and it kind of pinpoints exactly what does end up working out for my lifestyle at this point in time. And like I said, anything can always change in time. I might end up going for bigger bags in a year and only go for bigger bags and kind of just get rid of all the small bags that I own. But no, it's kind of like a learning tool, you know, like you live and learn, and it is what it is, and it just makes you appreciate the bags that you currently have in your collection, and you constantly get to rotate a little bit more. So I hope that this video was helpful. If you enjoyed it, make sure and give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already and you would like to, please subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking on the red button down below and hitting that bell so you're notified when I upload videos, which is anywhere from 2 to 3 times a week. And I would love to know in the comment section if you guys want to share if there's a bag that you were just insanely excited about, that you were madly in love with, and then you found out that it didn't end up working for you and you decided to sell it. Let me know in the comment section down below. But again, thank you so much for watching, and as always, make it a fabulous day or not, the choice is yours. Have a great day.